All right, y'all, right here is the Village Club. It's a tennis, horse riding, and swim club, all of which just exude affluence as far as I'm concerned. That's what it makes me think of, and I would say that it's quite apt. This area is a very affluent, very desirable area within the Denver metro. But as far as like commercial and sort of like entertainment, even amenities goes, this is about it. We actually had a request to do this video, and it's an awesome neighborhood. So while there's not gonna be a whole lot of cool commercial things to look at, the houses are beautiful and it is a great spot. So let's dive into it. Cherry Hills Village, Colorado. Let's go. How's it going, y'all? It's Jesse Lynch with the hardest working real estate team in the game. Welcome to Denver. And this YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home, a place to land here in beautiful Denver, Colorado, the Front Range of Colorado. And that's whether you're just buying a house for the first time or moving here from a different city, state, country, planet, whatever it is, relocations and first-time home buyers. That's what we do, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if either of those things appeal to you, do us both a favor, subscribe to this channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up. I would appreciate that so much. And say whatever you want in the comments. Literally, you can type whatever you want, those words in the comments, and send it. And I would appreciate that. It would be helpful to the algorithm. Or you can just complain about stuff. That's a thing too. Feel free. And as always, like I said, this is what we do, and this is what we do better than anybody else. So if you're thinking about moving here, or if you're thinking about just buying your house for the first time, get a hold of us and we will absolutely kill it for you. You can go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form there, fill it out, piece of cake, send it out, we will get back to you. Or shoot us an email directly at info@welcometodenver.co. And if you're not prepared to make things official yet, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at welcometodenver.co. So clever, and just hang out with us there. Again, subscribe to the channel so you can see all these videos that we do. We make tons of them, and we fully intend on covering every part of the Denver metropolitan area when we can get to it, because these videos take a long time. Today's video is a virtual tour of one of the most high-end luxury neighborhoods in all of Colorado, kind of all of the US, to be honest. It's really nice here. It's pretty much all homes, which are incredible, park spaces, which are beautiful, and then maybe a couple schools and a couple churches. But it is chef's kiss, amazing. If you can afford it, you're probably gonna really like it. So I'm excited to share it with you. Let's just dive into it. Let's go for a ride, shall we? Right now we are at John Mead Park here in Cherry Hills Village, and Cherry Hills Village is one of the most affluent places in all of Colorado, and also one of the most affluent places in the entire country. Probably not world, but I guess probably kind of world as well. It's really, really nice. The homes here, it's crazy. The affordable neighborhoods are like $1 million plus, right? And that's obviously not affordable for most people. There's just like an air of like quality everywhere, right? The parks are beautiful, the homes are incredible, the like acreage is beautiful, the schools are beautiful, they have great views. It's just obviously a very nice spot. You know, you don't get expensive, you don't get this sort of desirable without being very, very nice. And nice is a bit of an understatement. Deluxe, right? This is like the nicest. Real quick, I don't know if you can even see it. Okay, kind of a building over there. That's a house. It looks like it's beautiful, but it's big in the sense that it looks like I don't know, office building or something like that. Really fancy orthodontist, something like that. But also very cool house, really cool views right by this park. Hard to argue. I don't know if you can hear it. Faint trickle of water. Got a creek here. Got this little pond. And this is just one of a few parks here. I'll go to other parks later in the video because there's nowhere else to shoot except neighborhoods, but the houses are so spread apart that I can't really walk through a neighborhood. I might be able to stand in front of a house and make it to another house by the end of a section, but that's just how it is. It's big, it's spread out, it's equestrian, and it's just a high end. And where else can you get like a ranch, like an equestrian ranch that's super close to the city? I don't know. Not really anywhere else here, except maybe Greenwood Village will have that, but it's like almost every house here feels like, you know, it's with the intent of having acreage, potentially horses, and all that. Super cool. Geographically speaking, it's just to the south of Denver, pretty much due south. The borders to the north, you have US 285, Inglewood, like the Inglewood suburb, Welshire, and University Hills neighborhood. To the east, you have Southmore Park. To the south, you have Bellevue Avenue and Greenwood Village. So again, Greenwood Village, kind of the other, one of a few other sort of places that register to me as like equestrian neighborhoods or towns or villages or whatever. And then to the west you have Clarkston Street, which is also Inglewood over there. You're maybe 30-35 minutes from the airport and 20 minutes or less to downtown Denver. The population here is around 6,000, maybe 6,500, something like that. And it's seen a growth of about 10% in the last decade. So I wonder if it will fill out more, or if they'll hold tight onto all this acreage for every house. Because I mean, obviously it's very cool, but yeah, the land must be worth a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops over time. According to niche.com, Cherry Hills Village is ranked number 3rd place with the best public schools in all of Colorado. That's pretty high praise. Number 8 best place to raise a family in all of Colorado, and number 261 best suburbs, best public schools, best suburb with public schools in the entire country. 261 in the whole country. That's pretty good. Primarily, you're served by the Cherry Creek School District, which gets an A. And not only does it get an A, it's ranked the number 1 best school district for athletes in all of Colorado. It's ranked the number 1 best high school, bar none, in Colorado, and the 3rd best public elementary school teachers in Colorado. And yeah, all of the schools here are good, like upper echelon, some of the best schools. Regardless of what age range you're talking, the schools here are going to be some of the best in Colorado. Specifically, again, Cherry Creek High School is number 1 in the state, and it's going to get an A+. That's probably pretty obvious, but hey, you never know. Middle schools, you have West Middle School, it gets an A, very highly rated. And then elementary schools, you have Cherry Hills Village and Greenwood Elementary School, also getting an A. So you you could throw a dart at a map of Cherry Hills Village and you're gonna get a really, really good school. Potentially the best in the whole state. Okay, real quick. That's the house I was talking about earlier. I didn't realize it'd be walking this far to be that close to it. Otherwise I would have just shown you now. But yeah, it's huge. And all the way up the street, the houses just get super big, super beautiful, unique, you know, so that's you're not gonna see that everywhere. And this house over here is like Spanish Revival. It is gorgeous, but it's behind some trees. It's gonna be a little hard to show. As far as home prices are concerned, hold on to your hat. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for folks who are very comfortable. I think that's a good way of saying it. And all due respect to folks who are very comfortable. Good on you, you did it. And we'd love to help you find something here. It's awesome. Median list price is $3 million. Okay, that's like triple Boulder. So, and Boulder's really, Boulder's thought of as being like the expensive spot. So 3 million median list price, median sale price, 2.79 million. So 2.8 million median sale price. And currently on the market, the cheapest single family home is 2.19. Cheap, I mean, that's the least expensive, the lowest priced. All of those things don't really make sense when you're talking 2.19 million, but the highest is just under 10. And yeah, that's the range you're gonna see most of the time here, is like right in that range. I'm sure every now and then there's a house that's even more than 10, but yeah, basically 2.2 to 10 right now. According to niche.com, 95% of the people who live here own the home they live in, 5% rent. I don't know, even the 5% renting kind of shocks me. Like, what can you rent here? You know what I mean? A $2.2 million house on the low end, what does that even rent for? I have no idea. That is difficult information to come by because there's not really a whole lot of rentals in this area. And usually I talk about condos and townhomes. There are none. There's literally none here. So that figure won't come into play. Obviously the economy here is, you know, like really good. Average household income here, 417,000. That is a lot. And it makes sense, you know. These houses are beautiful and very expensive, so you'd have to make a lot of money to afford that. But if you can, it's a nice spot. So, you know, I guess I could recommend it. If you can afford it, if you're comfortable here, if you're comfortable with that price, then it gets my seal of approval. Definitely super, super nice. Okay, hey look, it's where we started. Let's go for a ride. All right, y'all, right now, check this out. This is Blackmer Lake. This is like one of my favorite little park spaces in the Denver metro. I don't come here often because it's not like the most convenient, but it is beautiful. A great path around the lake, and yeah, just really, really, really nice space, which coincides with just how nice this spot is. I'm sure you've seen by now, you've been seeing how nice these homes are and like how epic some of this stuff is. Yeah, epic is a pretty good way of saying it, but we're talking pros and cons of living here in Cherry Hills Village. I feel like cons, it's a little tough to come by. Obviously, you know, we'll get there. So pro number one, if you watch these videos, you already know I'm gonna say it, right? What am I gonna say? Schools. Schools here are amazing. The single best, the single highest rated high school in all of Colorado, right? In Cherry Hills High School. That one part alone is enough to attract a lot of folks here, right? You want your kid going to the best school and sort of surrounded by other individuals who are potentially like-minded, who also want, you know, something really great for their kid, then, okay, you know, being at the #1 rated high school is probably a pretty good place to start for that. Would you agree? Okay, I think you'd agree. Second, I mean, the homes, right? To me, it's like, these are aspirational homes. These are the homes that as a kid you dream of, as you know, as you're working your way up, you are dreaming about living in houses like these. And you know, if you are there, if you're at that point in life where you can get that aspirational home, you're gonna have maybe not a lot to choose from, but most of the houses here are gonna fall into that like aspirational range. Whether they're your thing or not, I guess that's a totally different thing, you know, whether you're up to your taste or whatever. But for sure, the lots, the area, the views, that stuff is all aspirational, and there's a pretty diverse aesthetic. I'm not going to say diverse housing stock because it's not, it's all very expensive, but stylistically it's a wide variety of housing types here because they're custom, right? They're expensive, they're one of a kind, they're architecturally built, and yeah, they're dope. Next pro for me is going to be really slick access to downtown Denver, like 20 minutes. That's pretty hard to argue with. To be able to have potentially multiple acres, like a horse ranch, and to be 20 minutes from a downtown core is hard to find, you know? And not just like a small downtown, Denver downtown, a legit downtown known the world around, Denver, you know? So just that access to that, super great. It's also not too bad of access to Boulder and to Colorado Springs. Not crazy. You're starting to get maybe an hour from Colorado Springs, maybe 40 minutes or so from Boulder. So all very accessible stuff. Next pro, super quiet. I mean, about as quiet as it gets. You know, it is exclusive. There's nobody's coming here except maybe for a park. Maybe for a park, but there's really no attractions here, right? So you're not gonna have any real traffic except maybe people looking at homes, you know, gawking at mansions. That's fair. You might find some of that. And then, I don't know, beyond that, it's just quiet. The streets are quiet, and yeah, even the parks are pretty quiet around here. And then last pro, I'm gonna say, is the outdoor spaces, like the one I'm at right now, Blackmer Park. All of the parks I've been to today are very nicely maintained. Obviously, it's like winter, so they're not as gonna be as packed, but they are nice. They're undeniably some of the nicer park spaces in the metro area, you know, and I think it's obvious that it would be with how expensive everything is, but indeed you are getting what you're paying for, because certainly your taxes are going to be pretty high here, but those schools, this great park space, you're kind of getting that back with how expensive it is. So fundamentally, all of the pros are just that it's very nice. Right? It's luxury, it's high end, it is. So let's move on to cons. First con for me is just that it's expensive. You know, it's a bunch of y'all watching this like, dang, yeah, I can't afford that. You know, the cheapest house on the market right now is 2.2 million. That is not going to be for a lot of you. And so, sorry, maybe someday. Hey, maybe someday. And then next con for me, and it's hard to say it's a con, but bear with me. is that it's a bit exclusive, it's a bit bougie. There's gated communities, and that's not going to be for everybody. Even some of the folks who can afford that, you know, this area, who they don't want to live in a gated community, and they want to, maybe they want their children to grow up in like less of like an elite area. You know, they're afraid of what that might do to their kid, and so that, you know, that's not for everybody. We've helped some folks who are, you know, in the upper echelon of income status, maybe not like the super elite, you know, super wealthy, but people who could afford this with a budget like you could get, you know, a house here for, but they don't necessarily want sort of that elite lifestyle. Usually it's been for their kids. They want their kids to kind of grow up normal, right? And so I think you could have that here, right? I think your kid could grow up here. You could have a beautiful home. You could have an equestrian ranch here in Cherry Hills Village, and they could go to the #1 rated high school in the state, and you wouldn't be doing damage to them, right? Like they wouldn't be rotten, if you will. But that is going to be a concern for some people. Is it a little too bougie? And I don't know. It's hard to say. Obviously, the houses are all crazy, but at the same time, there are people who they do want their kids to grow up around other, you know, powerful and high-achieving people, because they want that for their kids. So, you know, it's a balance, and it's obviously, this isn't like a parenting show, but that is a con that, or a pro, I don't know, that is something to weigh that people that we've worked with have had to measure. So I'm just putting that out there. The last con, I think this is undeniably a con, is just that there's like nothing, there's no conveniences here at all within the city limits. You have to leave Cherry Hills Village to get to anything, any store at all. So if convenience is a priority to you, then Cherry Hills Village probably is not going to be the best option for you. But maybe it's not, right? Maybe you're like, well, I'm 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away from something in Greenwood Village. Sign me up. That's a piece of cake. That's fair, and I can appreciate that. So yeah, that's the last con. I don't know, it's tough, right? It's so expensive that obviously there's not going to be that many cons, but the expensive thing, I guess, has some inherent drawbacks. All right, let's go for a ride. All right, y'all, that creek, that is Willow Creek. This park sort of space, it's a very long, like linear park. It's called Woody Hollow Park. And this is almost like a good example of like in a neighborhood park. And in fact, this neighborhood is about as neighborhoody as it gets. This is like the only spot really where, or one of only a couple, where you can walk a neighborhood and like walk from house to house without it being, you know, hundreds of feet between each house, because they all have massive yards. That said, these houses are beautiful. Very, very nice homes that are diverse in aesthetic, stylistically diverse, right? And actually right across the creek now is a home, brand new home going up, and I believe there was a home there before, so there's a scrape, and they're putting a custom home there, which makes sense. Right along the creek, you can probably you have like carte blanche to do whatever you want with the house, and it'll probably sell in this neighborhood because this neighborhood is very, very nice. All of the homes here are super, super nice. And yeah, whether you want, you know, this sort of like high-end neighborhood where, you know, kids could play in the street, maybe like street hockey or baseball or something in the cul-de-sac like I did growing up, then you can get that here. But then you can also get that sort of like spread out ranch style feel that this area does extremely well. And if you watch these videos a lot, then you know that we have a section that we call For Fans Of, which is to say, if you like what you see here, then check out some of these other spots. And when I think of alternatives to Cherry Hills Village, a couple come to mind as being like cheaper alternatives if the price tag has you super bummed out. The first of which is Greenwood Village. Not that that's cheap either, but it is on average, on median, cheaper than here. Beautiful, equestrian, excellent schools. Has a lot of very similar qualities to it. Next thing that comes to mind is Castle Pines. Castle Pines has really, really, really good schools as well. It's somewhat, it's really new. A lot of the homes there are very, very new and high-end, sort of like luxury, but it is a little more homogeneous. I really like that from house to house to house. There's at least something unique going on. Whereas I feel like Castle Pines, it's a little bit homogeneous, a little bit like a bunch of the same aesthetic, which either that's for you or it's not, right? And then on the maybe not necessarily cheaper, although this is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in all of Colorado, so I suppose probably a little bit cheaper, but not places I think of as being affordable, I guess, that come to mind that are similar, where you have the potential for an epic home, amazing schools, and all that. First of which is Boulder. Totally different side of the metro, so if you're geographically tied down here at all, then maybe Boulder isn't in the cards. Politically, it's going to lean a little different in Boulder than here. And so again, not for everybody, something to consider, but a lot of potential for an epic home and really, really great schools in Boulder as well. And then the next one that comes to mind, this is really far, so geographically very removed from here, is Aspen. And I actually do intend on doing a virtual tour of Aspen someday. But the truth is, we need to add an agent who can properly take care of Aspen onto the team, right? So somebody who's geographically closer. But if you want an epic home and really good schools and price tag isn't that big of an issue, then Aspen could be an excellent spot to check out because it's expensive, but it is absolutely beautiful. And then last thing that comes to mind, and it's a totally different sort of lifestyle. It's in the city, but there's a similar luxury aspect to it. Interestingly enough, it's called Cherry Creek, and that's a neighborhood within Denver. We have a video on that as well. It's like a little, you know, to whatever degree Cherry Hills Village is bougie, Cherry Creek is almost even more so. One thing I've noticed here is that while, yeah, it's very expensive, homes are beautiful, maybe even extravagant at times, you're less likely to see, you know, a Porsche or Land Rover or a Maserati or something like that. That's not to say people don't have them here. They do, but I think you're more likely to see a Tahoe or an Escalade or a Navigator or just like a pickup, like a nice pickup. So I don't know, I guess that's just something I've noticed. Cherry Creek, on the other hand, has that sort of like bougie aspect to it. You're way more likely to see a Land Rover, a Range Rover, I don't know, Lamborghini, right? Then I think you will here. You know, whatever it is, maybe this isn't quite the right spot. Maybe Greenwood Village is going to be a little more, but maybe there's some stuff that even those don't quite do the trick for, we'll help you figure it out. So just get a hold of us and we will crush it for you. Go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form on there. Fill it out. Piece of cake. We will respond to you and we'll get you headed in the right direction, or just shoot us an email directly at info@welcometodenver.co. And if you're not ready for such levels of commitment, go ahead and hang out with us on Instagram at welcometodenver.co. And as always, if you haven't yet, if this is your first time here, or if you keep coming back but the algorithm just brings you to us, then subscribe to the channel. And you know, we put these videos out all the time, trying to be the most immersive and the most honest, and here's what it feels like for all these areas. So yeah, do that. I'd appreciate that very much. And as always, give the video a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that very much. These take a long time, a lot of energy, and a thumbs up would be very, very much appreciated. And leave a comment, maybe another area that you're interested in, maybe, I don't know, other types of videos you're interested in, anything like that. And we will do our best to accommodate. And hey, we did it. This has been Cherry Hills Village, one of the most highly desirable spots in the whole Denver Metro. I hope it's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of these houses, which are very cool. I appreciate you hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.